Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and are you considering the Disney World Pop Century Resort for your upcoming vacation, but wondering if it's actually worth the hype and is this really the best Disney value resort? Well, me and my wife just stayed at Pop Century this week to check out one of their newly renovated rooms, and there are some serious surprises at this hotel, both good and, of course, some bad, that I believe every family needs to know when booking their next Walt Disney World vacation. So that's why I'm creating this video. This is my full pros and cons list of the Pop Century Resort. And this hotel on average is about $40 more per night compared to some of the other Disney value resorts. So it's really, really important that you understand all of the moving parts when trying to get the biggest bang for your buck. And that's exactly what we're about to break out in this video. So be sure to stick around until the end. As always, I'm very excited. So let's go get started. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video. Like I said, we're about to break down the pros and the cons of Disney's Pop Century Resort. So Disney's Pop Century Resort is a value resort at Walt Disney World, offering an affordable category of accommodations. The theming here is right around the decades, right? So you're going from really 1950 all the way up to the 1990s with larger than life pop culture icons, pretty much huge statues spread out throughout this resort. And one of the reasons, like I said, why I wanted to make sure to do this video right now is they are in the process of renovating the rooms at Pop Century. So at the time of the recording of this video, they have renovated, I would say, about half of them. The cast member that I spoke with said that they're planning to be done around late 2025, early 2026. So just keep that in mind if you are trying to go for one of these renovated rooms. But here is the full pros and cons list. All right, starting with the good, and here are the pros at Pop Century, and of course, pros with any value resort at Walt Disney World. We do have the affordability and the value. So like I said, this is a budget-friendly alternative to a Disney moderate resort or a Disney deluxe resort, or really if you're balling on a budget and you're trying to get that Disney magic and you want to stay at a Disney hotel, this is going to be the right category for you. This is a better option in a lot of situations than going with an off-site hotel that might charge you nightly, amenity fees and all that good stuff, right? And so when it comes to pricing, rooms at the Pop Century Resort can regularly be found under $200 a night, but I would kind of say that's the sweet spot. They're going to be right around $200 per night. And like I said, we're going to talk about the cons in a few, but that's kind of, if you're looking for a better value at Walt Disney World, Pop Century is going to fall in line with that. And of course, you get to stay in the Disney bubble, which you can't put a price on that. Okay, so moving over to the next pro, and we've spoken about it twice already in this video, this is going to be one of the biggest pros compared to some of the other Disney All-Star resorts. And we now have very functional rooms. We have recently renovated rooms. So the rooms are completely being renovated, and they are offering a modern, sleek, and minimalistic design with brand new hardwood floors. So they have essentially two queen beds, but the cool thing about Pop Century is one of them is going to be a Murphy bed that folds up into a table, which is an excellent, option for families who are looking to do some maybe late night snacking in the room. But like I said, you just have more functionality in these renovated rooms than you might have in some of the other Disney World hotels. Now, with this new features comes a lot more storage, including under the bed space for luggage. The bathrooms are very practical. A lot of them offers a split either tub with shower. And then you also have some additional amenities like a mini fridge, coffee maker, safe, and plenty of electric, USB outlets as well. And so kind of where I'm going with this is you could see, yes, these are some of the cheapest rooms on property, but honestly, I don't think that you really feel it when you walk in. I mean, are they over the top luxury hotels? No, they're not. They're value resorts. But I actually am very, very happy and pleasantly surprised with the type of room that you get at this price. The other cool thing is Disney does have the preferred rooms, which are going to be situated a little bit closer to the main building. So I actually am doing a full tips and tricks. If you already booked Pop Century, be sure to go follow and subscribe to our channel, as I'm going to be dropping that tips and tricks video, and you'll see this hotel had so many moving parts that I figured that would be a great kind of way to break it out. This is really, if you're trying to figure out if you want to book this hotel, that video is going to be if you landed on and you decided to go book the hotel. So definitely be sure to come back to our channel to check that video out. But over to the next pro, and of course, we have to talk about transportation when we're talking about Disney's Pop Century Resort, and that is because it is connected to the Disney Skyliner, which gives guests access to Epcot and Hollywood Studios. And this is a major perk when it comes to this hotel, but you'll see there are some cons that fall right under the Disney Skyliner for this hotel as well. So, of course, the pro here is that it's convenient for families, especially with strollers, as you can pretty much take your stroller right onto the gondola and be on your way. The other cool thing that I really personally like about this that maybe some families don't think about is you do have easy access over to Caribbean Beach Resort, but also you have easy access to Disney's Riviera Resort. So those have some really great dining options, specifically Topolino's at the top of Riviera, extremely popular for breakfast, for dinner. So you do have easier access to get over to the hotels. Disney World doesn't give you transportation from hotel to hotel. So if you're looking to do free transportation, if you wanted to go to Topolino's, let's say from the Grand Floridian, you'd actually have to take a bus or you take the monorail over to Magic Kingdom, then do that bus over to Riviera, or you go to Disney Springs, then you do a bus from Disney Springs. As you can see, you don't want to deal with that when you're on vacation, right? I personally will take Uber or Lyft, but that doesn't fit for everyone. I know that. I love the Skyliner to take me over to Caribbean Beach and Riviera, and we actually went and had breakfast at Riviera, so I did this firsthand. You also have efficient bus transportation to Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, the water parks, and Disney Springs. And I would also say that the bus rides to Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom are not terrible because Pop Century is really centrally located within Walt Disney World. So keep that in mind. And we also love the upgraded bus stops, offering the screen showing you estimated arrival times. And honestly, like I said, this could provide more value than staying at, let's say, one of the moderate resorts that doesn't have the Skyliner and isn't centrally located like Pop Century is. I also love that it's really close, pretty much connected to Art of Animation, which offers easy walking access for additional food over at Art of Animation. Maybe you want to switch it up with the quick service. But I also saw that there was a running trail that takes you pretty much from Art of Animation all the way around the Pop Century, and it kind of connects 1.3 miles. I love to run, especially on my trips. I thought that was really cool. And then the other really cool thing that has to do with transportation is the Disney Pop Century Resort also, well, really the value resorts at this point in time are connected to Southwest Airlines out of Orlando International Airport, and they offer essentially check your luggage service where you could check your luggage at the hotel now to save some time later on, which I thought was really cool. And they also have a designated area for picking up your EV and your groceries at this hotel. Just really, really convenient. Okay, over to the next pro, and of course we have the fun and unique Disney theming. So take guests on a trip through the decades, like I said, from the 1950s to the 1990s. If you're a millennial and you have kids, you could pretty much walk around the park and show them what a yo-yo was, show them what a Rubik's Cube was, go all the way back to the 50s and show them hula hoops, stuff like that, built into the designs of the buildings. Essentially, it's really, really cool, over the top, and I think that's one of the things that I love most about the value resorts is how over the top and the cool the theming is. And of course, with that theming, over to the next pro, we have to talk about the amenities. So you do have 3 pools at this Disney Value Resort. You have the Hippity Dippity pool, the computer pool, and then the bowling pool over in the 50s area of the resort. So you do have plenty of spots to go and relax by the pool. And Hippity Dippity is typically the busier one, but there's also a splash pad area for your kids next to the Hippity Dippity pool. But the other 2 pools are going to be more secluded and kind of quiet. So the main pool offers poolside activities, games, and even a live DJ on certain occasions. Then you also have the Everything Pop shopping and dining, which is a convenient counter service food court with a variety of options. So here we're talking, burgers, chicken fingers, different Italian food. We had pizza, meatball parms. Then you also had some, nicer meals such as the chicken. You had some salmon dishes, other type of beefs, stuff like that. I was pleasantly surprised with the food. We also tried the tie-dye cheesecake, which is another really popular delicious dessert at this hotel. And I also was pleasantly surprised that they have a new counter now that has specialty coffees and also mixed drinks within the quick service. So yes, there's Pedal Poolside Bar, which offers a variety of drinks and snacks near the main pool area. But I was surprised that you can actually get a mixed drink now within the main food court. And of course, we can't forget about some of the other things going on, such as Movies Under the Star, a nightly campfire with s'mores kits available. And I actually think this is the best arcade on property. So me and my wife, we are big kids. We go to Disney World a lot. I live up the block from Disney World, but we are constantly going on staycations to experience it for ourselves, to create videos like this. But we also love Disney. That's why I started this business. We love Walt Disney World. We go constantly. We go to the arcades just to have fun, date night, stuff like that. This, in my opinion, is the best arcade on Disney property. So you have to kind of run with that as well to kind of keep the kids busy. And so with that, we are about halfway through with this video. And I just wanted to take a second to say thank you so much for checking out this video. And if you have not already done so, just be sure to like this video and subscribe, as I have a lot more similar videos just like this to get you as prepared as possible in the coming weeks for your next Walt Disney World vacation. And if you do need help booking that Disney World vacation, we at the Park Prodigy, we are full-blown Disney travel agents, and we have a bunch of exclusive deals running right now, which includes up to an extra $250 back in a Disney gift card. And the best thing about that is going to be on top of any deals that Disney might be running already. So definitely just be sure to go check out theparkprodigy.com. But back into the pros, and we have exclusive Disney World perks. So of course, with staying at any Disney World hotel, you do have early theme park entry, allowing guests into the park essentially a half hour before other park guests. And then of course, you have really the convenience of doing online check-in on the My Disney World Experience app. You have that free Disney transportation that we already spoke about. These are all the pros and the perks of coming and staying at a Disney World hotel compared to, let's say, staying off-site. So as you can see, there's a ton of good stuff going on for everyone. But like I said, it's not all good. There are some downsides to staying at Disney's Pop Century Resort. So the first downside, I would say, is actually tied into one of its biggest pros, and that is the transportation drawback. So specifically, the Skyliner station is shared with the Art of Animation Resort, which can lead to crowds, especially really early in the morning when everyone's trying to get over to the parks. There can actually be a line to get onto the Skyliner. But really, when I've seen this the most is coming back at night. So the lines to get onto the Skyliner at night, from Epcot specifically, can be longer than for some of the buses. But it's just the way it is. Unfortunately, it's kind of just the con that comes with this amazing transportation benefit. The other thing I'm not crazy about at Pop Century and really Art of Animation specifically is you have to transfer again. So if you're staying at Riviera, it's a little bit of an easier shot over to Epcot or Hollywood Studios. Same thing for Caribbean Beach. Here, there's an additional transfer that you have to kind of take advantage of. The other bad thing is if you have anyone that's scared of heights, this might not be the right hotel for you unless you're open to possibly doing Uber or Lyfts, because the Skyliner, unless it's down for heavy rain or bad weather, is the only transportation option over to Hollywood Studios and Epcot. And again, if you're afraid of heights, this is not the best fit for you. And this was the idea I had to why I'm doing the tips and tricks video, because I realized that within the pros and cons, there's just a lot of tips and tricks that you need to be aware of at this hotel and why we're going, and we're going to create that video in a couple of weeks. But the next con that I personally found is going to be the room noise. So the rooms are on the smaller side, approximately 260 square feet. And so that can feel a little smaller, right? Especially if you're a family of four staying in the rooms. But I also found that they were noisy. So particularly, historically rooms near the pools are always noisy, but our room was actually noisy from the next room over. They had their TV on a little bit loud. We could definitely hear it through the walls. Also, the value resorts, the room situation is the entrance to your room is actually outside. So you have to just be mindful of that, as there's going to be a lot of noise right outside of your room. So be mindful of that. The other thing you have to keep in mind, again, value resort, there's no upgraded luxury club level rooms or anything like that. No private balconies, really no outdoor space, right? You have to kind of keep that in mind as you are booking these rooms. The other con that I would say, and I mentioned it earlier in this video, and again, when it comes to value resorts, for the most part, you're typically trying to get the biggest bang for your buck. Disney's Pop Century Resort, I would say on average, is going to be around $40 more per night than some of the other Disney value resorts. So I looked for the next upcoming week here in Walt Disney World, and I was able to find Pop Century with a deal through the Park Prodigy for $179 per night. But I also was able to find All Star Music at $137 per night. So you could see, though, you're paying a little bit more for the Disney Skyliner, right? Is it worth it or not? That's why I'm creating this video. You can make that decision for yourself. Another con is I liked the dining options, but one of the cons that I could see some families having is, will you get tired of the food fatigue? And what I mean by that is pretty much the dining options aren't going to change. Like the food offered each day is not going to change. So will you get tired of eating cheeseburgers and chicken fingers every day? I don't know. that's up for you to decide. The other thing in the morning is some of the breakfast can be a little, boring or plain. It kind of comes with the value resort. It's just something to keep in mind. And like I said, you can always go and you could go to one of the other Disney World hotels. Some of the other quick little cons that I found were cell phone service wasn't great because it's such a large hotel. And that is another really important one. It is a large hotel, meaning the rooms from the classic hall, which is the main lobby area, can be a 10-minute walk. So that's why they have the preferred rooms to kind of make sure that you're paying a little more, right? But you are going to have a room closer to that main lobby. Another con that I could see is maybe your kids just aren't into pop culture. Maybe your kids don't care that we didn't have the internet and that we were playing with yo-yos even in the 90s. I don't know, but it's something to keep in mind. I would also say that from a pool standpoint, the pools do not have slides. And some of the other things that I see, and I would say probably last but not least, is that this is definitely going to be one of the busiest hotels on Disney World property. They just renovated these rooms in 2018, and they're already renovating them now. So what that just tells me as an outsider looking in is that there's a lot of turnaround within these rooms. This is by far probably the busiest hotel on Disney World property, I'd have to imagine, at this price point with the Disney Skyliner. So it's going to be a lot of folks there. Just kind of keep that in mind if you are thinking about staying at Pop Century. But that is the list, everyone. That is the pros and the cons of staying at Disney's Pop Century Resort. I really, really hope that you found it helpful. If I missed anything that you believe all of our subscribers, the viewers of this video, should know about Pop Century that you have picked up from your time at Walt Disney World, just be sure to leave it in the comment section of this video. And like I said, if you are in the process of planning that Walt Disney World trip and you need a little additional help, I actually have a questionnaire in the show notes of this video. You can go and you can learn about that gift card promotion that I discussed. And just be sure to go check out our website, theparkprodigy.com, for additional tips and tricks. But I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video. And until next time, I will talk to you soon.